Hi. A couple of weeks ago I talked about a camera called the Fed 2, a Russian camera. And the Feds were a rangefinder camera. The Russians made two particular types of rangefinder camera, the Fed and the Zorky, and they made them from the 40s until the early 90s. And the video I made a couple of weeks ago was about the Fed 2, which has a wide rangefinder base. In 1961, Fed brought out the Fed 3. The big change with this model was the fact it now had slow shutter speeds. On the Fed 2, you will find no slow shutter speeds. By slow, I mean a second or half a second or a quarter of a second or an eighth of a second. We now have those slow shutter speeds here, which is good news. Well, it's good news up to a point, because the weakness of these rangefinder designs is often the slow shutter speeds. And if you haven't got them, then it doesn't matter. But if you have got them, it's the one thing that often seems to struggle. And with this particular camera, I have found that to be exactly the case. Because what actually happens, the shutter speed mechanism is separate to the fast ones. Now, to get into the camera, we undo the bottom here, and we simply take the back off. And here you can see the cloth focal plane shutter. There we are. Gently does it. We also have a metal spool which will come out, so you need to check if you buy a Fed 3, make sure the spool is included. Bit of a pain if it's not. So the back goes on like so. Use of operation is straightforward. We have focusing here, and with the rangefinder that means bringing the two images. You've got a small image in the middle and you focus to bring the two images together. On this Fed, on the Fed 3, you have no light meter. They did bring in a light meter, particularly with the Fed 4. So there is no light meter here, so you have to alter the aperture. Here I often, if I haven't got a light meter on me, I often use the sunny 16 rule, which means if it's sunny, it's f16 on 125. I have used this camera recently and found it very nice to use. And on a 125 it seemed to work extremely well. I'm always a bit disappointed that the wind back mechanism is this that there's no crank. However, I found this worked absolutely fine. When you've finished your film, in order to disengage the sprocket there, you press down and twist. And you twist to the mark here, which looks like an 8 or a B. And then when you round the film back, you move it back to C and you disengage, and there you are back. There's a self-timer there. There's no hot shoe, but with a lead you can connect a flash here. So how did the camera perform? Looking at the photographs, I was actually quite pleased with it. The lens was an industrial. The lens I found to be pleasing. We start in the hallway with the light coming in. I quite like the composition of that shot. We go on to the high street and it's beginning to get a little bit dim, so there's some lights coming on. The conditions were not fantastic. It was a very gloomy, wet day, which we can see there, but the camera has successfully captured that to how I intended. And another shot of the high street looking up towards the Trinity Church and the Coin Exchange in Dorchester, Dorset, UK. I think there's a tiny bit of glare there, but that sign is sharp. This would have been on about f4. Again, a nice contrast, nice tones of grey, as you want when you're shooting black and white. I think I've gone to f4 here, and you see the end of the street is out of focus as intended. And here's some other general shots. I found the camera a pleasure to use. You do feel like you are holding something very solid. It felt reliable. You do need to think with the shutter speed and the aperture. I can see why people are still collecting these and using these. You can still pick them up relatively cheaply, and you get a camera which is both fun to use and will produce extremely good results. So don't dismiss a Fed. If you see one, why not try it and see how you get on. Thanks for watching.